Tainan Jing Si Hall, which is not only a command center in disaster relief, but also a safe harbor for the suffering people. A certified Tzu Chi volunteer, who was once an inmate, receives the Uprising Youth Prize for his helping other inmates set their lives straight.
歡迎收睇DaAi Headlines， 我係 Ruby 我哋一齊睇下今日嘅內容。Tainan Jing Si Hall is like a home and also a safe harbor for the suffering people. When disaster occur, it is a center for collecting disaster information and gathering manpower. Its volunteers also mobilized to save people from disaster area and provide free meals to rescuers.
In times of emergency, Jing Si Hall is a place for us to gather.
集结的地方。
Materials are all sent out from here.
Tainan Jing Si Hall is like the command center. When disaster happens, the emergency rescue team is mobilized immediately.
In Xuejia and Mado districts, the terrain is relatively low. If there's no boat, we have no other way.
The strongest part is here. It is made by a sandwich-like method with a foam to be the middle layer while the other two layers are fiberglass.
Tzu Chi, who is engaged in the yacht business, as well as the rescue boats to make it easier to move on the land.
In fact, it was made according to the principles of shipbuilding and gone through the tensile test and strength test. It was installed with wheels as well. No matter whether the water recedes or not, or the water level is high or low, we can still go to the disaster area.
After continuous testing and rehearsal, from the foam-made first generation to the pneumatic-made sixth generation, the Tainan team made the rescue boats lighter and lighter, which were widely used in Jing Si Hall in various places.
A team from our Tainan branch specializes in making boats.
Some are responsible for the middle part of the boat, while some are for painting. The most important thing is that if there's any problem when using it, everyone would discuss together and find other better raw materials. We have actually saved a lot of people when we went out. Some houses were flooded with a little bit left. We heard someone calling for help, so we tried to find a way to rescue them.
As natural disasters happen frequently, volunteers in Jing Si Hall often prepare in advance.
0206有春两下过，迄天真正足寒，迄天差不多6度呢。因为最主要就是讲来迄个，只是放迄个生子燃料嘛。
Rocket stoves are always available for keeping warm, and there are puncture-resistant insoles and gloves to go deep into disaster areas.
We don't know if there are any nails or something in the mud. And if the disaster area is dirty, if there's any wound, it's easy to get tetanus.
When facing a disaster, volunteers in the kitchen also raced against time.
快，它是快。
Jing Si instant rice is quick to cook, and it is seasoned with vegetables inside.
All of us cook these dishes with a sincere heart. That's good.
In the disaster relief after Typhoon Morocco, 10,000 meal boxes were made in 3 hours, with the dishes and taste constantly adjusted.
它流汗，它出重工作。
Rescuers sweated and worked very hard. They would prefer saltier dishes.
比较偏咸。
On the 6th of February after Meilong earthquake, the survivors were invited to go to Jing Si Hall to have reunion meal and sleep over.
Like this, it's a large area for people to sleep on the floor, but we would put some multifunction beds here so that the survivors could sleep here.
Allow these survivors to leave the place of pain so that their hearts can feel relief.
A ray of light warms up the hearts of the sufferings. It not only guides them in the dark, but also comforts and keeps them company to pass through their difficult times. Tzu Chi volunteers in Tainan also carry out home visitations to care for the disadvantaged and solitary elders. Among them is a Tzu Chi ex-member who is touched by volunteers' action in a Taroko derailment accident and joined Tzu Chi again, hoping to share her love with the needy. Apart from arranging the treatment of the injured people and providing meals at the disaster site, Tzu Chi volunteers also go to the rural areas to install safety facilities for the disabled on ordinary days. Their actions made an elderly member who has misunderstood before join Tzu Chi again.
Owing to reasons I won't go into right now, I stopped donating. Seeing the Taroko derailment accident, I have felt an organization such as Tzu Chi is needed, so I rejoined as a donating member. I feel very happy to have this kind of love to share. I need to go out to help the needy. It's better than being alone at home.
Looking around, the home of a grandma, who is 87 years old, is filled with all kinds of stuff. Volunteers carefully observe and care about grandma's daily life and her living condition. The pile of debris, who affects grandma's movement, needs to be tidied up urgently. Volunteers are thinking to install safety hand wheels for her.
I live a frugal life and don't want to waste anyone's money. You guys are so kind to have compassion for me.
In Suzhou Borough, Anding District, Tainan, a 92-year-old elderly has to rely on a crutch in her daily life. Her bathroom has a hidden danger.
I need to hold on to something to walk, so I usually hold on to the walls.
The elderly are very thrifty and are not willing to spend money. Tzu Chi comes to help improve their living environment so that the elders can have a comfortable life.
To implement the home improvement project, so the volunteers are divided into different groups to carry out home visitations.
We also need to have the owner's consent on the improvement work. We want to promote the concept that the elderly will have a better quality of life if there is no risk of falling at home.
Almost every household needs to install handrails and improve the lighting situation.
Volunteers have improved the safety issues in the dark side of society, so the young generation can work hard to earn a living, while the elders can also lead a safe life at their golden age.
It has been 2 weeks since the Taroko Express derailment accident. So the volunteers have been accompanying the suffering families during this difficult time, and our new series will highlight how love continues in this terrible accident.
The first news report indicated just 1 dead and a few were injured. The more we investigated, the more casualties we found. Then as soon as I returned to the office, I saw that the command center was set up and we were doing scheduling. I also know at the moment that there are related supervisors and colleagues who have contacted volunteers to gather at the scene of the accident.
I received a call saying that the train was derailed and asked us to prepare supplies immediately and go to the scene to distribute the goods. When I arrived at the scene, it was really a mess. The disaster relief personnel were entering and exiting, and there was a traffic jam. We could not send the supplies in, so we had to use an ambulance to enter. The next day, I sent out breakfast from Hualien. I was very upset when I saw some of the situations they were working in. The relief workers were exhausted. We gave 150 lunch boxes, but we didn't eat at all. We only drank water, sports drinks, and some bread.
At the scene, whether it was passengers or relevant government agencies, they were all very orderly and restrained. Although it is a very unfortunate incident, at least the first aid, search and rescue, and subsequent reassurance was all in place. This meant we were able to deliver compassion from all walks of life.
When I retreated to Xinchen, I greeted the remains there. I counted and counted, but I couldn't count them anymore, and my tears kept streaming, one by one. I waited a long time for the last one, but when it was sent out, it was incomplete. It can only be said that we really have to cherish and hold on to life. We are really learning and learning this life while we are alive.
A grandma brought 2 grandsons. Why they let grandmother hold the health insurance card and her hands kept trembling and couldn't lift it up? The sister told me that one of her grandsons had already died and only this one was left. The one who was over 2 years old was sitting here. By the way, they asked me, can you help her feed her noodles? I also have grandchildren who are more than 2 years old and one is 4 years old. I feel the same way.
When I came to Hualien this time, I saw that many senior Tzu Chi's brothers and sisters, as well as Dharma masters showing concern and helping us was really something I appreciated. Otherwise, everyone would be panicked when encountering such a crisis.
I've contacted Tzu Chi volunteers in various counties and cities to visit and care for families of the victims. This, as well as pairing social workers for those who are psychologically traumatized, can help PTSD. We have to help these people with psychological counseling.
Volunteer shift system is helping us. The county government has insufficient manpower to provide care. This is where we see religious groups exert their greatest strength.
They can be called bodhisattvas in the world. If they are not supported by strong ideas, I think that ordinary people cannot achieve such a situation. I think this was very admirable of them.
A certified Tzu Chi volunteer, Zhong Zhongyuan, was sent to prison 6 times for his drug addiction in the past 25 years. But during his last sentence, he found Buddhism and changed his ways. He began to help inmates set their lives straight, earning him the Uprising Youth Prize from the government recently.
Do recycling. If you can continue with it, then you have to humble yourself. And if you can't humble yourself, then you definitely cannot continue with sorting recyclables.
From doing recycling to learning about humbleness and finally finding his own self-worth and confidence once more. This is Tzu Chi volunteer Zhong Zhongyuan, who had once lost himself in a drug addiction.
When I was addicted to drugs, my daughter had one of these bamboo coin banks, and I took it for my selfish usage. Now that I'm certified as a volunteer, I vowed I'd continue to donate and volunteer until I cannot do any more.
While serving his 6th sentence, he found Buddhism and changed his ways. The next time he returned to prison, he returned as a motivational speaker. Now he is receiving a special award from the government for his actions.
This Uprising Youth Award really belongs to the Kaohsiung Tzu Chi team as well. It's thanks to the whole team's effort that I can keep on the right path. I just follow the Master's teachings and pass only the right message on to all of those who have done wrong in the past.
He was once lost, but thanks to the help of society, he was found and now is helping others like him. This is what we want as a role model, and this is a cycle of goodness.
With goodness in this world, it can help save countless families. Tzu Chi volunteers help lost people find their path in life and walk on the straight and narrow.
In Tzu Chi Liaison Office, more than 50 volunteers carry out recycling work all year round. Some of them found a new meaning in life after retirement, while others forgot about their illness when giving of themselves.
你无做时，你会感觉没有被需要的感觉。你要做你会感觉有被需要的感觉。所以我就很喜欢来这里啦，一种价值的肯定。
Dedicated to sorting plastic bags, 64-year-old Wu Mian and her husband have been doing recycling for 10 years. Therefore, she is very familiar with sorting techniques at the recycling station.
When I have time, I will come to the recycling station. When I first started, I did the work till very late. Recently, due to health reasons, I do recycling till about 2 p.m., sometimes 1:30 p.m. I try to seize my time to do recycling.
Zheng Yuxia, who has suffered from breast cancer for more than 10 years, is from Kaohsiung. Recently, her cancer cells have spread to her bones. Despite that, she still seizes the opportunity to give of herself.
Birth, aging, getting sick, and death are all natural, right? So I try to shift my focus to do recycling. This way I won't feel the pain. Just take it easy.
This is the recycling station at Xizi Liaison Office. For 365 days a year, people come here to volunteer, even during the Lunar New Year. You Shufeng has brought her mentally delayed son to do recycling for 14 years.
I thought that since my son doesn't do much at home anyway, since the summer in 9th grade, I would bring him here and do recycling. It's as if he comes to play. Coming here, we can relieve our stress.
Volunteering at the recycling station is more than a stress reliever. Xie Chongguang, who has terminal stage liver cancer, was able to undergo a liver transplant thanks to a liver donor. Now he recycles to reciprocate people's kindness.
The more I do recycling, the happier I become, and the more joyful I am. My health has also improved.
While the volunteers at the recycling station come from all walks of life, they share the goal of protecting the environment. They have also found happiness while giving of themselves.
26 members of a Tzu Chi basketball team, including students and parents, visited the Muzha recycling station. They were all surprised by the number of resources that can be recycled and reused, as they gained first-hand recycling experience.
The Tzu Chi basketball team is not shooting baskets this time, but instead visiting a recycling station to learn to classify and dismantle PET bottles. It's not easy. They're learning by doing and getting a feel for recycling.
It takes courage because there is really no comparison. When children do it, and they will keep shouting there are worms. And what is it? Recycling is not a very clean job, and I admire the sisters over there.
You have to bring the eco-friendly cups and chopsticks by yourself. This is the solution because recycling and sorting is such hard work.
One day of recycling can change your habits for a lifetime.
I feel that in the past, I didn't have such a habit of taking reusable cups or utensils with me. Since I came here, I will see that it is actually very simple to do just that.
From sorting different types of recycling, one can see that resources can turn into usable items, teaching all of us to truly cherish the earth.
Today, we start another new series about restoring our planet. Taiwan's marine ecology has faced many challenges in recent years. In particular, coral reefs have been affected by 4 types of impacts such as overfishing, pollution, habitat destruction, and climate changes. Last year, Taiwan faced the worst coral bleaching on record, with many corals yet to recover. Here's more.
More than 70% of our planet is covered by the ocean. Some people said that there must be a healthy ocean to have a healthy humans, but our marine ecology is now facing the phenomena of a reef collapse. On us.Da this year, we will take you to explore the truth about Taiwan's underwater world through the eyes of the marine experts.
I went to the water outlet in Kending, and I found it to be like snow.
With the bottom of the sea looking like it is snowing, this colorful coral reef turned out to be gray.
Last year in 2020, we saw some sporadic coral bleaching in June and July, but I did not expect that around the end of July, it would become more and more pronounced and even more serious in August. Seriously, I haven't seen so many kinds of corals with such large range of bleaching occur before.
According to the results shared by diving enthusiasts from various places, it was found that large areas of coral bleaching occurred in Kending, Green Island, Lanyu, and Penghu. The results of Academia Sinica's research confirmed that this was the worst coral bleaching in Taiwan's history. 8 months later, as sea temperatures dropped, half the corals returned.
Some are like the fringing reef here come back, but some die. After the algae covers it, they will die. But in Xiaoliuqiu, the north is a bit more serious, and the depth is less than 10 meters. It may be an approximate guess, but visual inspection by myself estimates that more than 50% of them are really dead.
Coral plays a very important role in the ocean. First of all, it is the builder of the ecosystem, and different corals constitute coral reefs and become the habitat for many marine life, thus forming an ecosystem. In addition, corals are also a food source for many organisms, which have constructed rich fishing grounds, and coral reefs also have the function of wave-breaking blocks and play an important role in the maintenance of marine ecology. However, after the great bleaching of corals last year, coral conditions in the southern waters are still not good, and the northern waters also need to be observed.
就想说下去看看海里面有什么东西啊，看了之后就着迷了。
Wearing a 5-layer diving suit and struggling to put a cylinder on his back, Chen Zhaolun, who has been diving since the age of 24, has been monitoring the Yalu waters as early as 1997.
The coast we're now seeing is actually at the inlet of the second nuclear plant. The coral data here are actually being tracked back to the 1970s. This place was already doing coral research for a long time.
Under the threat of climate change, Chen Zhaolun discovered that the northern waters may become a sanctuary for corals in the south.
If the temperature of the sea in the south is getting higher and higher today, if they are forced to live here, they must move north, especially in a place like Yeliu. It is possible to provide shelter where these species at low latitudes can go up to high latitudes where they can live.
When you see that heat-resistant coral slowly going north, it shouldn't have appeared there, then it appears. It is a warning sign because it is an indicator.
The frightening thing is that even if the corals escape to northern waters, the trend of water temperature rising year by year also needs monitoring here.
The temperature in winter can be below 16 degrees Celsius. The lowest I have ever measured, the water temperature is only 12 degrees. Last year I found out that water temperature here will no longer drop below 18 degrees.
After diving, the research team found that most of the corals in Yalu have recovered after the seawater cooled down, but staghorn corals, which are the most sensitive to rising water temperature, show no signs of recovery, indicating that the ecological crisis of coral reefs has not been completely resolved. At the same time, the research team of Academia Sinica also went to Green Island to track the coral bleaching spots last year.
你要去看每一张照片，我们这个框里面每一颗珊瑚，它的白化等级是多少？
This is a normal color, and then here is from symbiotic algae. And then due to the heat, the density of the symbiotic algae is relatively low, and then it becomes paler. Coral itself is transparent. It's transparent tissue, and then when the sunlight hits the white calcium carbonate below, or when the density of symbiotic algae is too low, the coral looks white.
Scholars worry that once the diversity of corals is destroyed for a long time, only a few species can survive. Then the marine ecosystem will become quite fragile. To save the destruction of marine ecology, the root problem lies in human beings.
Personally, we can reduce plastics and then minimize the waste of unnecessary resources. In fact, in our lifetime, we simply consume too much materials. We use way more than what we need.
Reducing fishing and becoming more vegetarian is actually a very important act to protect the marine ecology.
我们如果能够直接
If we can directly consume plant-based proteins and skip these so-called things higher on the food chain, this will actually be of great help to the earth.
Only healthy corals can bring about healthy oceans and sustain a healthy human lifestyle. The interdependence of all things lead us to such a deep reflection as we prepare for Earth Day.
Tzu Chi set up an online English learning program for the students in Penghu Strahu Elementary School. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and see you next time.